In the year 1989, the Emperor of Japan was in failing health. After the tumultuous half-century plus that he had seen Japan through, he was finally about to breathe his last. The Showa era was coming to an end, and the Heisei era was beginning. By a serendipitous coincidence, many other Japanese cultural touchstones entered a new era as well. Gundam had brought a conclusion to the original run, and now other people were going to take a crack at it. Kamen Rider, which had swung more biological than mechanical in recent years, moved back towards the cybernetic with Kamen Rider Black RX. This would be the final Kamen Rider series to air on TV until 2002. But with the ascension of the Heisei Emperor, new beginnings would also begin to crop up for shows that would become staples of the genre. 5-Star Stories was created out of disappointment with Heavy Metal L Game by Mamoru Nagano. In response, he began work on 5-Star Stories as a manga in 1986. In 1989, the animated version came out, based on the first story arc therein. The show itself is a strange blend of fantasy and sci-fi that had a little bit of Star Wars and a whole lot of Dune to balance it out, and became well loved as part of the genre canon, both east and westward. The manga is still running, though the more recent volumes have yet to be translated into English. Motto 80 War in the Pocket took Gundam back to its roots with a much different feel than the other TV series and movies that had come out to that point. The series, quite gorgeous by even modern standards, brought the aging designs up to snuff with what was going on in the rest of the genre at the time. The story concerns a boy who's caught between a Zeon pilot and a Federation test pilot and hammered home the tragedy of warfare in a way that would have a ripple effect on most Gundam series going forward. Likewise, it dispensed with the new type phenomena, for the most part, and focused on normal soldiers, which other series would pick up on as well. While OVAs of this time had somewhat wildly variant quality, this was one of the good ones, and had memorable mobile suit designs that helped to make it an instant classic. Cybernetic's Guardian was another work by Koichi Ohata, and featured a mecha that's covered in hair with vaguely defined psychic powers. It is in the lineup because it features a proper robot killing machine as the main antagonist, and most of the story is centered around a mistake caused by robotics experiments not unlike the kind featured in RoboCop. In spite of taking several peculiar diversions over the course of its 40-minute run, it managed to be inoffensive and make it stateside with the early VHS anime boom. Of note, it featured a machine called the Genocyber, which would also become the name of another Ohata project in years to come. The first Patlabor movie, at the time part of A Pair by Mamoru Oshii, was something of a much different creature than the TV shows and the OVA that had come before it. Oshii has a well-deserved reputation as someone who makes very plotting and atmospheric films, and this only served to drill the point home. The movie was notably more violent in its mecha combat, and its dark tone was far removed from the previous entries in the series. It also laid the groundwork for later series, in which it brought in strange facets of Western civilization, most notably the Tower of Babel illusions. Regardless of that, or perhaps because of it, it maintains its quality, and in spite of its tonal difference, it definitely has Patlabor written all over it. The Patlabor film did such good numbers that they commissioned a TV show to be made, focusing around the same group of goofball mech jockeys in that same year. This one takes place out of canon with the OVA and movie, and represents a separate timeline. Still, everything about it remained pointedly and perfectly Patlabor, maintaining the careful balance between silly comedy and serious police action that had made it popular in the first place. The series would run for 24 episodes, and then get extended twice to a full 47 episodes to finish off in September of 1990. Assemble Insert was a 2-episode OVA that sprung from Masami Yuki's head, who was responsible for the overwhelmingly popular Patlabor. As such, the powers that be decided to snap up whatever they could with his name on it and produce from there. The result was a mixed bag of comedy and mecha action, featuring a pop idol with super strength and power armor shaped like a leotard. It took its fair share of shots at pop culture at the time, but never made too much of a splash. Of note is the fact that the main character is 13 years old, but the dubbed version aged her up by force and good taste into a high school senior. With the ascension of Emperor Akihito, Japan was primed for a new era of prosperity and continued market strength across the globe. However, things were not to turn out all according to plan in the near future, as the shadows of past missteps ready to make a stab at the otherwise recovered nation. Likewise, 1990 saw the mecha genre fizzle out badly in Japan for the first time in years. Luckily, there was someone up to the task to take up the mantle.